What if just 90 days stood between you and the most resilient version of yourself you've ever met? Could a few simple decisions, repeated daily, completely reshape the way you think, act, and respond to life? No fluff, no shortcuts. Just 5 Stoic pillars to forge a disciplined, focused, and unstoppable mind from the inside out. If I told you that in just 90 days you could become a completely different person, stronger, wiser, and more intentional, would you believe me? Just 90 days. Not a year, not a lifetime. You heard me right. 3 months from now, the version of you that hesitates, gets easily distracted, and spends hours scrolling for inspiration won't exist anymore. Instead, you'll be a razor-sharp, steadfast individual who knows exactly what you're doing each morning when you wake up. Someone who doesn't chase feelings but leads them. Someone who doesn't live reactively but makes deliberate choices. Someone who no longer searches for motivation out there but becomes the source of it. This isn't a vague, motivational fantasy. It's a conscious, intentional decision you make right now. And if you're truly serious about making the next 90 days the most disciplined, powerful, and transformative period of your life, then walk with me from start to finish. 90 days of transformation isn't just about habit building or physical challenges. It's a journey of mind training, a practice of Stoic philosophy where happiness comes from living by reason, mastering your emotions, and focusing on what you can control. When those 90 days are forged in the Stoic spirit, you don't just change your lifestyle, you change who you are at your core. If you're ready to embark on this journey, comment 90 days of discipline below the video to mark the moment you commit to yourself. Don't just watch, begin the art of distinguishing the controllable. In the next 90 days, if you can do only one thing, start here. Begin by asking the most crucial question in Stoic philosophy. Is this within my control? If not, let it go. If it is, act immediately, without delay. Epictetus, the Stoic master, once said, "Some things are up to us, and some are not up to us." It is precisely this distinction that underpins everything Stoicism strives for. Human life is full of upheaval and the unexpected. The weather changes, markets swing, people betray, and bodies fall ill. While the world remains beyond your control, filled with noise, chaos, and unpredictability, your reaction to it is fully in your hands, and that's where true power begins. And only when you understand that can you begin to live as an inner warrior, unshaken by emotions, undistracted by external circumstances. Your 90-day journey will become meaningless if you keep fighting on fronts that aren't yours. If you stare at social media, worry about others' judgments, and wait for permission from someone else, that is wasted energy. That is a warrior who cannot distinguish their battlefield. And the painful truth is, many of us are defeated not because we are weak, but because we fight the wrong battle. That is why the first step of your 90-day challenge is not reading books, not meditating, not exercising, but abandoning every retreat. Turn off notifications, delete the app, cut out social media if necessary. Not because it is bad, but because it lies beyond your control. You cannot force others to stop posting. You cannot control virtual reactions, but you can control whether you step into that zone of distraction. And if you are not resolute from the very start, you will never truly engage in the inner battle. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, began each morning with a ritual of reflection, not to pray, but to remind himself of what lay ahead. Chaos, disrespect, ignorance. And he wrote it all down, not to complain, but to prepare, to train his mind to tell himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." These words are more than philosophy. They are a battle plan, a shield between the mind and life storms. You might say, "I'm not an emperor, I'm just an ordinary person." But that is the beauty of Stoicism. It is not for the extraordinary. It is for anyone willing to live with discipline. And the first discipline is of thought. Discipline is not allowing your mind to be swept away by what lies beyond your control. Over the next 90 days, practice living as if you have only 24 hours of energy each day, and you cannot waste it on anything outside your hands. When someone insults you, don't seek to strike back. Ask, "Do I control what they say? No. Can I control my reaction? Yes." Then focus on what you do have. When a work deadline looms and a colleague delays, making you angry, stop. You cannot control them, but you can control your own pace, your reactions, and your choices. And the miracle is, once you begin to clearly distinguish what is yours from what belongs to life, you will find yourself free. Not free because everything is pleasant, but because you are no longer controlled by what you cannot control. That is the pinnacle of inner resilience. That is Stoicism. Not on paper, but in your blood, in your breath, in your lived responses. So if you ask, what should I do in the next 90 days, here is the first answer. Cultivate the habit of distinguishing. Each morning ask, each situation assess, each reaction adjust. This is not a trick. It is an art of living. You do not need to control the world. You only need to control yourself. And that is where every transformation begins. And if you are serious about changing yourself in the next 90 days, here is the non-negotiable blueprint. No daydreaming, no escape, only action. Stoicism is not a philosophy to be read for enjoyment, but a life strategy to be applied hour by hour. We will move through 5 pillars, 5 blades, forging the inner self. Each pillar is a battle, and the first pillar where every transformation begins is something seemingly simple yet decisive. Mastery of the rational mind. But what exactly does mastery mean, and where should you start? Let's move on to pillar 1, mind. Nurturing the mind through reading, thinking, writing. The time has come for you to lock your mind into a simple, yet powerful rule of life. Nourish your reason each day through reading, thinking, writing. This is not gentle advice, nor is it some half-hearted self-help slogan. It is a survival order if you want to stand firm in a world fraught with chaos where information is more cluttered than ever, and your mind, if left untrained, will soon be pulled apart, scattered, and shattered. Therefore, you must devote 1 hour every day, no concessions, no negotiations, to intake and reflect. That hour is your time to slow down, to read a page of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations or Epictetus's Enchiridion, not for entertainment, but to hear a great mind guide you through the fog of emotion. When Marcus Aurelius reminds himself, "You have the power not to make a judgment," he is speaking to himself and to you today that freedom begins with mastering your own thoughts. Don't stop at reading. Copy by hand 3 to 5 quotations that resonate most deeply with you, because writing embeds words not just in your eyes but in your bones. As you write down, it is not events that cause us suffering, but the way we think about them. You transform that insight into a part of yourself, then immediately jot down a specific way to apply it. Not in lofty philosophy, but in concrete terms. Today, if you're about to enter a meeting with a volatile boss, you might remind yourself, "His mood is not the truth about me. My reaction reveals who I am." This habit, though small, is how your reason is forged day by day. You do not read to appear knowledgeable, but to clear out the basement of your mind where anxieties, unconscious reactions, and biases have taken root without your notice. Writing even just a few lines pulls fuzzy thoughts into the light, dissects them, and allows you to own them. Laura Hillenbrand is living proof of a quiet strength, one that speaks not in noise, but in perseverance. Stricken with severe chronic vestibular syndrome to the point she could barely stand, she spent years confined to a single room, almost never leaving her bed. Yet within those tight walls and weakened body, Hillenbrand produced monumental works, like Seabiscuit and Unbroken, both literary phenomena made into films. She did not write by inspiration but by discipline. She did not blame fate or shirk her work. Every day was a silent battle, and each sentence she typed was a step forward through the pain. Hillenbrand refused to let illness define her. She used it as the circumstances in which to forge her will. She is a modern Stoic, physically immobile yet whose mind has never been imprisoned. You need not face extremes like Laura Hillenbrand's to understand that mental freedom is not a gift, but the result of training. And if you do not actively train your mind through daily reading, thinking, writing, you are leaving yourself at the mercy of emotions and circumstances. Remember, a mind does not become strong on its own. It grows strong when disciplined. 1 hour each morning is not a luxury, but a duty. It is time for you to dialogue with yourself, sharpen your perspective, and prepare your spirit for whatever lies ahead. If you commit to this practice consistently for 90 days, you will notice something remarkable. The world no longer controls you as before. You begin to choose your responses instead of merely reacting. You stand tall amid the storm because your roots have grown deep. That is the power of reason when it is nourished daily. Not theory, not abstraction, but the quiet, unglamorous work is indispensable if you wish to live as a true Stoic. Pillar 2. Body. Disciplining the body through voluntary challenges. We often think of discipline as something burdensome and dry, a series of rules we must follow. But for the Stoics, discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. It is the training that frees us from the sway of temptation, weak habits, and fleeting pleasures. And nothing forges that discipline better than deliberately stepping into difficulty when we voluntarily endure inconvenience, bitter cold, fatigue, and hunger. That is how we shape ourselves from the inside out. Roman philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius all emphasized voluntary discomfort, the bodily challenges we choose to undertake to strengthen our minds. Seneca was more than a thinker. He was a practitioner of philosophy. As he wrote, Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" That question turns fear on its head and conquers it. What terrifies us, hunger, cold, exhaustion, are mere illusions if we face them long enough. Over the next 90 days, you don't have to become a gladiator. You only need to train consistently every day. Whether it's running, push-ups, planks, punching a heavy bag, or simply standing under a cold shower for 5 minutes, anything your body resists in that first instant is precisely what is refining you. Every drop of sweat on the floor, every shiver from the cold water is a declaration. I choose not to live comfortably. Stoicism does not endorse self-punishment, yet it teaches that prolonged comfort erodes the will. An untrained body grows sluggish. An untested mind becomes fragile. We live in an age built for convenience. Food, delivered at our door. Air conditioning year-round and silencing emotions with a swipe. In return, we lose our capacity to endure. And when we cannot endure hardship, we easily lose both freedom and dignity. So stepping into this challenge isn't about showing off strength. It's about rediscovering yourself, the less reactive, more self-reliant, and fully in control version of you. When you fast for a day, you feel hungry. But more than anything, you realize you're okay. When you take a cold shower at dawn, you feel your body resist, but afterward your mind is sharp and proactive. You learn that nothing can control you if you willingly step into it first. Cold may make you hesitate, but it isn't dangerous. It is procrastination and compromise that erode resolve day by day. If today you give in to yourself for a small reason, "It's too cold, I'm too busy," tomorrow you'll step back further. That isn't a one-time slip. It's the making of a lifestyle. Stoics believe in repeated action because that is how virtue is formed. You don't need inspiration, you need commitment. So you run each morning while others sleep. You meditate each evening while others scroll through their feeds. You choose a cold shower instead of staying warm. Over 90 days, your body will grow stronger and the chooser within you will become unshakable. No one needs to see. No reward is required. Just know this: you have conquered yourself. So what about you? Have you ever tried a physical challenge to train your mind? What do you think about using voluntary discomfort as a tool to strengthen your will? Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your story or perspective. Pillar 3, mission, performing duties like a Stoic. None of us were born by chance. The Stoics call this the logos, an order hidden behind all things. And each of us carries, within ourselves, a unique role, an irreplaceable mission. It is not a fleeting passion or a youthful dream, but a cosmic assignment from the universe where we need to stand, the work we need to do, and the person we are meant to become. Marcus Aurelius, even as the supreme emperor of Rome, never allowed power to dull his sense of duty. Every morning he inscribed in his notebook reminders not for others to read but so he would not forget. I cannot delay. I cannot be weary. I cannot make excuses. I was not born to lie warm under the covers, but to act. These are the words of someone who lives by reason, someone who does not seek reasons to flee but finds every way to fulfill his role, whether tired or in chaos. For the Stoics, duty is not a burden, but the foundation of inner freedom. When we know why we were born and commit ourselves wholeheartedly to it, we no longer waver before praise or criticism, nor become enslaved by the daily swings of emotion, because duty does not wait for inspiration. It only needs to be carried out. So over the next 90 days, choose a clear mission, not vague, not half-hearted. Ask yourself, what is my work? Not the work to survive, but the work that has brought me here right now. Perhaps it is finishing the book you left unfinished. Perhaps it is learning a skill you know you need to step into the next version of yourself. Perhaps it is rebuilding trust with loved ones after past mistakes. The mission need not be grandiose, but it must be essential. It must be important enough that you do not allow yourself to give up, and once chosen, lock yourself into action. Deep work-focused, uninterrupted work is a way to forge willpower like a Stoic. Each day, dedicate 90 minutes. Turn off your phone, lock the door, eliminate all distractions. This is not working hard, but working with reverence. In those 90 minutes, you step onto your own battlefield. You are not getting it done, but fulfilling a part of your destiny. You and Marcus Aurelius, you and Epictetus in that moment are no different. Facing the world's chaos and choosing to do what is right without excuses. You will feel resistance arise, the mind plotting procrastination, the sense of boredom, the doubt about the work's value. But that is precisely when you must be steadfast. Stoics do not wait for favorable feelings to act. They act and let virtue guide their emotions. Executing your mission also means letting go of a part of yourself. The weak part, the lazy part, the part that always wants to be let off the hook. Not everyone will understand you. Some will call you extreme, harsh, or joyless. You are not here to be accepted. you are here to complete what you must do. And as you carry out your duty day after day, regardless of the weather, your mood, or the loneliness, you will change. No longer someone who waits for inspiration, you become someone who creates it. No longer someone chasing goals, you become someone living your role. No longer someone easily swayed by the lure of comfort, you become someone unshakable. That place where you trade comfort for meaning, where you discipline yourself each morning. To draw closer to your mission is where Stoicism is most alive. It is where you stop talking about ideals and start living them. Fulfilling your duty is not an obligation, it is an honor. And over the next 90 days, let duty become the banner you fight under. Pillar 4, stillness, meditation, and self-reflection. In a noisy world, sitting still is a revolutionary act. We live in an age where every silent moment is filled with notifications, tasks, and the den of expectations. But the Stoics do not chase that pace. They refuse to be swept away. They proactively pause. They practice stillness as a daily ritual, to reflect on themselves, cleanse the mind, and reinforce virtue. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, shouldering an entire empire, still took time each evening to write down his reflections, asking himself, have I lived according to my ideals today? Is there anything I regret? And tomorrow, what will I do better? This was not merely journaling, but a mental training ritual to listen to inner impulses, dissect unconscious reactions, and cultivate reason as a gardener tends the soil of his mind. Stillness is not an escape from life. It is a strategic retreat, like a warrior returning to camp to sharpen his sword and repair his armor, so that he may re-enter the battlefield the next day with a clear mind. When you sit down, remain silent and simply breathe. No phone, no background music, no distractions. You return to your center. You give yourself the chance not only to live, but to understand how you are living. 10 to 20 minutes a day is enough. You do not need elaborate techniques, just a quiet space, gentle lighting, and the determination not to flee from yourself. Sit. Observe the flow of breath. Inhale and exhale as a silent witness. Whenever thoughts arise, rather than resisting them, simply acknowledge them and return to the present. At first, your mind may be chaotic, and that is precisely the point. Stillness does not mean immediate calm. It means having the courage to face that unrest moment by moment without running away. If sitting still feels unnatural, you can choose a silent walk instead. In the soft light of dusk or at dawn, walk slowly, feeling each step root into the earth. Scattered thoughts will gradually dissipate like mist. In that moment, you begin to see yourself again, not through the filter of deadlines or social media, but as a real person with strengths, weaknesses, fears, and untapped potential. Before you go to sleep, turn off all lights and sit quietly for 15 minutes, not to reproach yourself, but to learn. Write down 1 or 2 things you learned today, whether a failure or a small victory that made you proud. This is not a record of achievements. It is an inner map. Each night marking a landmark, each line a step toward your ideal self. This act, seemingly small, lies at the core of Stoicism, inner self-mastery. No one forces you to do it. No one rewards you for doing it, and that is what makes it valuable. This is a commitment you make to yourself, needing no audience, no recognition, just you and your own integrity. Stillness does not render you passive. On the contrary, it transforms you into a keen observer, one who no longer reacts impulsively, unmoved by trivial stimuli. You become the master of yourself, deliberate, clear, and profound. And it is in that silence that you hear most clearly the call of reason, of duty, of the path you must walk. So if you are seeking the hidden leverage to transform yourself fundamentally over the next 90 days, start with this simple act. Sit, breathe, reflect. Once you have mastered stillness, you will understand why the next step in this journey cannot be postponed. For by then, you will have no excuse. You will see yourself clearly, and procrastination will find no refuge. Next comes iron discipline. No turning back, no compromise. Are you ready? Pillar 5. No negotiation. Impossible to postpone. If there is one thing that Stoic philosophy never tolerates, it is procrastination. Not because procrastination is a sin, but because it is a trap. A refined form of self-deception that makes us believe I'll do it later, just for today, or worse, it doesn't matter if I skip a day. But Stoicism does not live on promises. Stoicism lives by action. In the ancient Roman army, the cradle of many Stoic philosophers, discipline was not an option but a necessity for survival. A soldier could make no excuses, take no unauthorized days off, and could not postpone training. Discipline is not only about strengthening the body, but also about forging the mind. Each training session is a commitment to oneself. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, made no exceptions. He wrote before dawn. He trained despite 1,000 responsibilities. For him, the path to virtue admitted no negotiation. And so it is for you. Once you embark on this 90 days journey, you are no longer someone who waits until you have time. You become someone who creates time. This means if you have scheduled to read 10 pages, run 3 kilometers, or write 500 words today, nothing may interrupt you. No, I'll do it tomorrow. No, I'm too tired. No bargaining, for the moment you give in is the moment you allow old habits, the weaker version of yourself, to regain control. You might think, but there are days when I truly feel exhausted. Stoicism does not deny that. But Stoicism is not cruel. It is integrity. If you miss the morning session, you still have the afternoon. If you skip today, you are duty-bound to make it up tomorrow. Not because anyone forces you, but because you chose to enter this journey with self-respect. Habits are not forged by inspiration. Habits are forged by showing up every single day. No exceptions. Just as you promised a friend you'll be on time to train together, and you won't arrive late because you respect them. On this journey, that friend is you. Will you keep your promise? Look back. How many times have you given up because of just one day off? How many goals remain unfinished because you allowed flexibility to become justified laziness? Stoicism teaches virtue does not spring from feelings but from behaviors repeated over and over. The day you don't feel like it but do it anyway, that is the day you truly grow. A simple example. You set the rule lights out by 11 p.m. But last night you scrolled your phone until nearly 1 a.m. So this morning you still wake at 6, sit for 10 minutes of meditation, and write in your journal. Not because you are a robot, but because you refuse to betray your promise to yourself. Are you tired? Then go to bed earlier tonight. But you must not evade the responsibility of yesterday. It is in those moments when you leave the warmth of your bed for a cold shower. When you sit down to write with a lazy mind that you are winning, not defeating someone else, but conquering the weak habit within you. No negotiation is not a slogan. It is a living strategy. When you live by the principle of no negotiation, you no longer need to decide each morning, should I train today or should I read? The answer has been preset from day one. You must. And so you save willpower, focus your energy, and turn action into identity. Day after day you become someone unrecognizable even to yourself 90 days ago. Not because you are super hum, but because you keep your word. No quitting, no compromise, no bargaining with yourself. The 3 stages of challenge. Every 90 days journey begins with a blazing determination. Inspiration surges, and the image of a new version of yourself appears as clearly as a sweet promise. But then, as with every truly worthwhile quest, challenges do not wait long. They arrive unannounced, quietly, yet inevitably, through 3 psychological walls that anyone committed to change must overcome. It is at these 3 resistance points that Stoicism, the philosophy of discipline and reason, becomes the compass that keeps you standing firm against the opposing wind. The first wall, day 7 to 10, when enthusiasm starts to fade. The first week passes lightly on waves of excitement. But by day 7, your body begins to complain. Your mind, accustomed to ease, starts whispering, I'm too tired. Let's skip today. And here you face the first resistance, not from the outside world, but from within yourself. This is the moment when reason must choose, act or abandon. The philosopher, Epictetus, taught that the only thing we truly own is our reaction and our actions. No one forces you to wake up early to meditate. No one checks whether you read or train on schedule. It is only you and your personal choice. The first wall is not tall, but it is cunning. It lures you with seemingly reasonable excuses. Just this once. You've worked hard enough, but Stoicism allows no concessions. Action builds habit and habit shapes destiny. When you overcome the first wall, you do more than defeat laziness. You plant the seed of resolve. The second wall, day 30, when everything becomes boring. You have made it a month. Your body begins to adapt. What once felt difficult, waking early, cold showers and deep work, have become routine. Yet boredom seeps in like a thin smoke. The initial thrill is gone, and there are no wow results as expected. You find yourself repeating the same schedule like a machine, and your mind starts to ask, am I just wasting my time? It is precisely in this state of monotony that many people falter. They change goals. They break the system. They begin seeking something new. But that is the trap of inconsistency. The Stoic does not act on inspiration. The Stoic acts out of duty. And in the quiet of the second month, those who live by Stoicism delve deeper into their inner selves. They do not search for novelty outside, but discover depth in familiar actions. The final wall, day 60, when you become someone else. Then the miracle happens. There is no trumpet fanfare, no dazzling light. One morning you wake up and go through your routine naturally without strain. You open your book, you meditate, you train. Everything flows as naturally as breathing. You have been reborn. This is the phase of inner transformation where action has taken root in your being. There is no sense of coercion, no negotiation. Discipline is no longer a burden, but part of your identity. As John Dryden wrote, we first make our habits and then our habits make us. From that moment, a new version of you emerges calmer, clearer, and unshakable. Stoicism does not promise ease, but if you pass through these 3 walls, you will understand why Marcus Aurelius called an obstacle the path. For each time you rise, despite fatigue, each time you remain steadfast despite boredom, you are cultivating the virtue that no one can take from you. A 90 days journey is not merely a battle against old habits. It is a coming-of-age ceremony for a mind guided by reason. And the 3 walls, those 3 trials by fire, transform you not only into someone stronger, but into an entirely different person. When you embark on the 90 days journey in the Stoic spirit, you're not just building habits, you're honing character. Each pillar from reason, physical fitness, duty, and tranquility to discipline is a battlefield you must hold firm on every single day. And in every challenge, every moment you feel like giving up, Stoicism reminds you that is precisely when you are forging virtue. It's not empty theory, but practical action, sweating, resisting laziness, and confronting yourself head-on. So, if you truly lock in for 90 days, who will you become? Which wall do you think will be the toughest to overcome? Wall 1, 2, or 3? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to read them and respond. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share it with someone who needs it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming Stoic content. And don't look away. The next video is waiting for you right here. Keep going, stay strong, show no mercy.